Our next presenter is Dennis Perry, well known to everyone in California, and most people throughout the Protea world. Dennis is a graduate of California State Polytechnic University in Pomona.
We'll wait to turn it on just before.
As am I, although I graduated 3 or 4 years before him. He's actually a biology major. I thought he was a horticulture major.
When you're ready,
as
you can click
as
on
I
it.
was.
You want me to wait around?
And I said, you know, I'm sure you took horticulture classes. And he was so rude. He said to me, yeah, I'm a biology major, but when I needed to boost my GPA, I took a couple of horticulture classes.
The two will make it.
I won't forgive him for that.
They'll both go at the same time?
Dennis is from a 4th-generation family of agriculturists in California. Grew up in the family nursery. They carry Spanish fruit, ground cover plants, container nursery stock. And got involved with the Protea and became a propagator for many people and had his own operation for many years. And growing Protea in California is the title of this presentation. Thank you, Dennis.
I'll turn it on for you, Dennis.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. And yes, I needed to raise that GPA. I'll take a deep breath, and then it's off to the races. This is a grower's perspective in many ways. Certainly there's an abstract, and I'm going to have a paper, but what we're looking at are soils, water, climate, and the human interface. Fertilizer, pH maintenance, the likes of that. We will start in soils. Where would you like that camera going? Here, that's good. We'll look at both nursery soils and the soils that we're planting out in, the earth. California has a lot of different soils in a lot of different places at a lot of different altitudes in a lot of different climates. We're going to be looking at a lot of the green and light blue that are close to the coast. Those are the ones that really give us a chance. We'll look at soil drainage first. Here we have, I wish there was a little bit more color to it. Oh, did we have a pointer? That was the other one.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I'm on the same one? All right, so we have, a piece of clay here, and Mel knows this. We're neighbors on this property, and there's a whole row of yellow Venus going down the hill here. This one's fairly good, and those off to the right are good. There's just a clay patch in there, and we've had to deal with it, or not use it. And not use it is what we end up doing. There's suitable drainage in a wide range of soils here. The decomposed granites are what we were working with yesterday and looking at in Rainbow. Sandy loams are along the coast, and we see quite a few of them. We'll discuss those later. Mountain alluvials are at the base of our coastal range, and they tend to be a mix of boulders down to sands. Then the decomposed sandstones. We find up in Santa Barbara and Ojai region, they have some very nice sandstone hills, and we'll discuss a bit more about that later. Marginal drainage. First we'll be in drainage, and this was a trial planting that we did in Rancho Santa Fe. It was a loam soil. It didn't have as much sand as we really wanted for drainage, so we mounded. And the success was great. Mounding is a tool, and use it, is my thoughts. There we go. The human interface is where we're looking at briefly about soils. Grading, this again's the same place. Up above that's Resendez Brothers. This is the same plot that we had the clay. We graded out the road and pushed that soil over the top, and we got some pretty good soil for kings. It really improved the soil. So everything that man does to the soil doesn't degrade it. Sometimes degrade it really didn't degrade it. So a lot of water gets applied to soils in California, and some of it, as you see down it's my finger. So you see some rather high salts and the likes in it. So we have a lot of marginal soil that has already been irrigated out, or let's just say ruined if you're going to grow proteas. So we got a lot of people that had old avocado orchards that wanted to develop them in proteas because they only use about an acre-foot of water a year, as opposed to an avocado which can use 7 acre-feet in 1 year. So there's a great water savings. Water quality. You saw that poor quality on the lab sheet. Here you can see it in person. Propagation in a lime-covered, in lime situations is very difficult, except for like obtusifolia. I can do that in that one. Here you see the lime buildup on the inside of a gallon can, just from irrigation with what we call water, which is really just a solution of salts in many ways. I'm going the wrong way again. So here we're looking at the water and the watersheds in California. 2/3 of the water is produced in the northern part of the state. 2/3 of the water is consumed in the southern part of the state. So there's a lot of massive transportation. We're down in this area here, and we get a lot of Colorado River water. Colorado River runs through the desert. Colorado River evaporates. All of the dams that there are on it evaporate the lakes behind, the reservoirs behind, and we end up with some pretty unique water from that. I'll try to be positive as I can. In this one, we look at the major problems. We've got in the column from the left, in the column from the left, we've got fertilized water returned after we had taken municipal water, which is that Colorado River water in this right-hand column. This was a well on the property, and you can see the bicarbonate's over 300 on this. That's almost useless water for us to try to repair and apply. But the notes on this one is we're not much better in that we've got 168 for bicarbonate from the Colorado River. We've got a pH of 8.2, and this is coming out for us to irrigate our farms. Oh, and one other, we do get 1 part per million, we get 1 part per million of phosphorus. So I figured that's my feeding program. And it's worked out. I do not add it. We acidify. Over here, dosatron. We've used many different. That's the most economical purchase. And we inject water. This is a propagation house, bottom heat, all set up hydronic onto the benches. I like to run the pH way down. I like it in the 5s because it always seems to climb up into the 6s. So we really do shoot for 5.8 to 6.2, and that's where my goal is for us. There's other plants that require a bit more acid, but they're not high on our production list, you might say. Nutrients and pH change. Here in the landscape, we do use a lot of soil sulfur. Magnesium is always underapplied here in California. And then, of course, we need iron, keep those things happy. Ammonium sulfate is our choice. It is a very acidic fertilizer. It will drop the pH. That's one of the things I learned at Cal Poly, fruit science class. If you want to have your orchard become a more alkaline or neutral pH, you use nitrate fertilizer, and that will increase your pH. We use ammonium sulfate because the proteas really require an acid pH. These plants back here, they are landscape plants. We got these through Nurseryman's Exchange. Protea floras grafted stock for people to put in their yards. And they remain, well, they're probably 7 years old in this photo, and they do remain fairly low. As you can see, they're a good landscape plant. We'll see those when we go up to, where are we going, Ben? Who are we gonna visit? The nursery? Altman's growing this line of material now, and it's for sale, retail here all over California in the big box stores. We do pruning on this. I know this property very well because it's my sister's, and it's been my trial area. So, references, Klassen's, his nutrition was use ammonium sulfate. Some proteas did not even absorb nitrate. Here, we tried to do this one. Take the phosphorus out of the soil, and the best actual way was to use aluminum sulfate, but its depth is suspect, and it creates some really hard, when it gets moist, it creates rocks of it. Mineral absorption. Now I'm really getting it. Mineral absorption here, you do fertilize spring into early to midsummer, and after that you're just wasting your fertilizer. The absorption's done, the plant is stored its sugars and nutrients. I'm halfway. Oh, well, I can talk slower now. And a lot of all of this is reinforced in Milan Gerhard's book. In South Africa, he wrote the book for South Africans creating their plantations. It is based on raising the pH, so he did recommend some people using. They have pHs certainly 5.5 and under that, and they wanted to bring that up, so they were using nitrate fertilizers in order to bring that up. He then says, do not use more than 30% of nitrate in your mix, because you won't be feeding some of the fertilizers, or you won't be feeding nitrogen to some of the plants. So this is a recommended reading. It summarizes an awful lot of the others above. Now we go to the countercultures, the one that drive Volkswagen buses and the likes of that. I came across this in Morro Bay. I wish that the light was better, but a beautiful Cynaroides, pincushion on into leucodendrons behind it. I just had to ask. I went up. I go, what do you do? Do you just let it grow? Or no, we put blood meal down on it, which is a product that I grew up with, to be honest, and came from the slaughter. It is nothing but steer blood. It's very acid and very good in high in nitrogen. It was the big thing when we were planting annuals at that time. Oh, by the way, this is what we're talking about in coastal acid sands. Morro Bay, Napomo, the area around Watsonville. And then it goes on up north of San Francisco into Occidental and that area. So it's a really good soil. It's close to the coast. You can get most everything to grow, and we'll discuss a little of that later. High-end landscape. This is SoFi Stadium, the home of my Rams, American football. And you can see that they do some real nice landscape. This is the old Forum, the fabulous Forum where the Lakers were playing for years. They're using Safari Sunset. They dig up the soil, they put in sandy, they bring in sandy topsoil, and they take care of it. They're about due to prune, it looks like. But in here, there's pin cushions in between the aloes in the back. You can see the variety of plants, most all acidic, low fertilizer requirements on them. This, in my hometown, is the Cape Garden at Ventura Botanic Gardens. I personally have brought 500 pounds of soil sulfur on this. We do it every year just before the rains, and it may not be active until the following summer when it warms up, but it really does work. Climate types, we're into that now, and you can see the coastal climes. We are right about in here, and it's beginning to become a hot summer Mediterranean climate. There's quite a few other areas. The Central Coast here, you can see that it is a warm climate. We do get the ability, and we're going through what's considered, our tours are in the hot climate here. The coastal areas, it is a bit different, and you can see that those warm ones do extend on up Marin and Mendocino County. And there's some good growth of Proteas up there. Started with leucodendrons, and it really has developed. Here we have coastal Ventura. On this side, I could grow cerurias beautifully. Now, the soil wasn't perfect, but I could have a ceruria in container beautifully done. The only good stand of Tilapia speciosissima that I saw was up in Sonoma County, Occidental. They were collected from growers in New Zealand. They were spread out over as long a bloom season as they possibly could get, which means about 5 weeks. And they did fabulous. And this soil actually has a name. It is Gold Ridge soil. And it's where Luther Burbank, one of the greats in hybridizing, chose that soil in that area to do it. He came up with the russet potato. He made it so that we have a freestone peach. We don't have to chew the peach and have that cling on it. He chose this soil, and there's a lot more interest in this area now for people growing Proteas. Fog. Again, here I'd like to show it better, but we do get a fog. Here's San Francisco Bay. Oh, and by the way, Mark Twain, he has something in common. Anyone who went to the dinner, opening dinner, and we had that breeze blowing through, Mark Twain said that the coldest winter he ever spent was a summer in San Francisco. That fog and that ocean keep us cool. It's like having a big swamp cooler. So fungicides do become important at certain times of the year. Another side, I was planning a hillside for my new house and the likes, and we had a fire. And so there are some young plants that survived the fire. I went and took a picture. They'd not been irrigated over all that period, neutral pH. So you got to say that having Pattersoni in the high gold and having Suzanne in the Sylvia have adapted them to a neutral pH very, very well. I'd like to see more research in that. Nursery soils, we like a fine one for seedlings and the likes of that. Our propagation mix, we just go 90-10 most of the time. We put them in a sleeve. A year later, we plant from that sleeve into the ground. And it either goes into a 5-gallon can for a nursery company or into the field for the grower. Our container mix, we have always used a soilless so that we can ship it anywhere. We can get it into Hawaii if it's raised on a bench. There's a lot of advantage. And I grew up in the nursery business, and it was a soilless media, so I still do it at any rate. Crown high, that's the biggest mistake I see is people put a plant in and they cover it up to here. No, crown high, always get, this is that same sleeve that we saw planted into a gallon can, planted high. You'll have to take a picture of this one. This is my witch's brew. This is what I use during the season. And I want it to be 50 parts per million downstream. Magnesium sulfate goes up and down when I try to balance the calcium. If you have good water, you're not using half of that magnesium. Iron stays the same, and I use a micronutrient mix. I used to mix all the micronutrients, but those days are over. I just get a mix and say, hey, I hit the target. We use a wetting agent because there's peat moss in our mix. It can happen with barks. It can happen with an awful lot of soils. And then we'd use it. We found something that works. It's actually for putting on the golf greens. That's how they acidify the golf green out here on the course. And because they tend to build up alkalinity, and nobody wants to play golf on a brown green. This is a pour water system. We're putting it in a nursery in Camarillo. Pre-filter, pre-filters, and I can go backwards, right? Nope, I can't. Anyway, we had pre-filters, sterilization, ended up in being RO water at the very end. I am. One thing that everybody can do here that has hard water, that high calcium carbonates, is a water softener. Water softeners work very well. Small ones, we put one in at our nursery, cleaned up the water enough that we didn't have to use as much acid to change the pH. Geez, I wish I figured this out. Yeah, I got it. All right. Your soil, water, and climate are pretty much what you're going to buy or what you've got. The fertilization, the pruning, and the pH are what keep your production going for years. I've always heard, oh, they're good for 3 or 4, maybe 10 years. Well, if you keep fertilizing, if you keep pruning, if you keep the pH adjusted, you're in a good shape. Do I have question time?
No.
No, no questions? You could catch me later.
We're having questions at the end, just before the first break.
Oh, at the first break one. Good, then I filled my time. Thank you very much, everyone.